Hey geeks, I'm Trey Guillotine and you're watching Geekly Trends, where I give a few thoughts on some of the geeky trends that have gone on in the past week. There's some controversy surrounding the upcoming Netflix and Marvel show Iron Fist, but before I get to that, I'm going to start on a little bit of a bummer. Past week, the actor Bill Paxton died at 61 from complications of surgery. I've never thought Bill Paxton was that good of an actor. Twister is probably the most memorable role for me for seeing him in. I even completely forgot that he was in Titanic. I forgot about the whole present-day story Search for the Heart of the Ocean part of the Titanic film. As an actor, he's never really stood out for me, but from seeing him in interviews throughout all my life and seeing how people talk about him and people who are close to him as friends and family, he seemed like a very, just a genuinely fun person to be around. He seemed like he was always trying to make people laugh. He was just trying to have a good energy and make sure that, you know, when they're on set, when they're working, that he's making sure he and everyone around him are having fun. And I just think that's an amazing quality for someone to have. I follow a lot of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast. Over the past week, there were a lot of remembrances and messages going out to his friends and family from the cast, talking about their experiences with him, and he just seemed like a really fun person to talk to and to work with. So I definitely think the entertainment industry is less for that loss. My thoughts and condolences go out to his friends and family and everyone who was a part of his life. The sequel for the game, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, was leaked through the retailer website of Target. The title is going to be Shadow of War, and it's going to be coming out in August. Soon after the leak, they released the trailer for it. Shadow of War is going to continue the story of Talion and Celebrimbor, the Ranger and the Wraith, who were kind of joined together during the spell that is it the Black Hand of Sauron, who ended up being Sauron. It was kind of a confusing character thing in the game. A lot of people talk about what was it called? It's not the legacy system. The way the system works is that you would fight an orc, and the orc, if the orc survives, if the orc you fight survives, or if it kills you, it remembers the last time it fought you, and it'll remark on that when you catch up with them. And it was a lot of fun. It was also just great kind of having this new story in Lord of the Rings in Middle-earth. The story will be following Talion and Celebrimbor as they fight against Sauron and all of his orc forces, and they're going to be making their own Ring of Power. Celebrimbor, if I remember correctly, was Sauron's master, the person that Sauron apprenticed to in making the Rings of Power. So it kind of makes sense that Celebrimbor is going to be trying to make a new ring to combat Sauron, but it also looks like creating this ring is separating Talion and Celebrimbor, which my big question on that is the entire reason that Talion was able to survive was the magic of Celebrimbor. When the spell happened, when the curse happened, they were joined together. Talion was dead, and Celebrimbor came in, and they kind of became one. And that's what allowed Talion to survive. Now, if they're separated, I don't know how that's going to work, if that's even going to come up, or if they're just going to toss it up to elf magic. And it looks to take place at the very beginning or the early days of the war that we see in Lord of the Rings. Possibly even going to Gondor itself. They did show a city and citizens, and it looked like it could be Gondor. So I'm interested to see where this game is going to go, and more information coming out on the story. The combat system and the system of fighting the orcs looks to be the same. That's coming back from the first game. But my big interest is how the story is going to work, and you know what surprises, what plot twists we have to look forward to. Also, they showed like this armored Balrog in the orc forces, so chances are that's going to be either like a big boss, or it might just be a tutorial boss. We'll find out. Logan has come out today, which is to be Hugh Jackman's final performance as Wolverine after almost 20 years of playing Wolverine in all the X-Men movies. He's actually been in every single X-Men movie since the first X-Men in 2000, now in 2017. So 17 years of playing Wolverine throughout these, 17 years, and X-Men was actually kind of the beginning of this golden age of comic book movies. And so a lot of what we're into today with the MCU and everything, whether you like it or not, going on with DC, I really think we have we owe a lot of thanks to Hugh Jackman and his portrayal of Wolverine in X-Men. So far, the reviews look really good. Actually, they look beyond good. They're saying it's great, it's amazing, that it's the perfect send-off for Hugh Jackman as his last time as Wolverine, that it transcends the comic book movie genre. It does look to be very, very good. From the trailers that I've seen of it, it doesn't look like the usual comic book movie, and they're saying that element of it, that it's not your usual comic book movie, is what makes this movie great. The movie is not for kids. It is rated R. It is very bloody. Lots of action. Lots of, I'm guessing, decapitations, because now we have Logan and we have the little kid with the claws. X-23, I think is her name. I'm going to go see it tonight. I can't wait to see it. This is a movie that I'm very, very excited for. We're only a couple of weeks away from the premiere of Netflix and Marvel's new show Iron Fist, and there is somewhat of a controversy over the casting of Iron Fist, of getting Finn Jones to play Danny Rand, Iron Fist, in Iron Fist the show. Let's see how many times we can say Iron Fist in this video. The controversy being that a lot of fans, to promote diversity and more representation in Hollywood, in TV shows and movies, they wanted Danny Rand to be played by an Asian American actor, or an Asian actor, as the show and the character are very much covered in a lot of Asian culture. And the original comic was brought in during a time when they were kind of capitalizing on that kung fu craze. But unfortunately, apparently, we as Americans weren't open-minded enough to have an Asian American hero. But now, a lot of people, including myself, believe we're in that time where we could handle an Asian American superhero. But a lot of people wanted them to cast an Asian American in the role as Danny Rand. As far as I know, that wouldn't really be a huge problem. It wouldn't change too much of the actual character, but they instead went with Finn Jones. They brought this up to Finn Jones in an interview recently with BuzzFeed. I get where that frustration is coming from. I get the need for diversity and equality in television and film. Well, actually, in every aspect of life. Right now, we live in a culture and a world where we are very unequal in politics, in economics, and in culture. We're being fucked over massively by the top dudes. I stand up for people. I stand up for people across all borders. There needs to be more diversity in television and film, especially for Asian actors. With this instance in particular, what I struggle with and what frustrates me is that people are commenting on the headline without understanding the full picture, without understanding the full story. What you'll find with the way that we're telling the story is we're addressing the issues that people are very concerned about in a very intelligent and modern way. Danny Rand is not a white savior. Danny Rand can hardly save himself, let alone an entire race of people. He is a very complicated, vulnerable individual. He doesn't show up like, hey dudes, I've just learned martial arts, I'm going to save the world. Actually, it's the complete opposite. He's gone through and suffered immense trauma, and he's struggling to claim his own sanity and identity back. I've been going back and forth over if I wanted to talk about this or not all week, and I finally decided that it is something I think we should talk about, but it's something that I find difficult to talk about and have a solid stance on it, because just about any other time I would be fighting, yes, we need more diversity, we need more representation, and I'm not saying that that in this instance I don't think we need more representation or more diversity in TV shows and films, but I do think that it's not so black and white. First off, I'm really excited to see Finn Jones as an actor in this leading role, as the only thing I've seen him in is Game of Thrones as Loras Tyrell, and I thought he did a pretty decent job. So I'm excited to see him in this new role front and center, and even when he was talking about when he first got the role, he was really excited about it, and that after his excitement kind of got normalized, he was really disappointed in the backlash that he was getting. And in this instance, I feel like the problem of having more diversity and having more representation in TV and film, we put a lot of that controversy on the actors themselves, and I don't think that should be the case, at least not the case across the board. I don't think this is Finn Jones's fault that they got these amazing roles and that they themselves are excited and are going to do the best they can. Because ultimately, from what I've seen of a lot of these actors, end up at the source of these controversies more often than not in agreement with us. That yes, while they are fighting for more diversity, they also have their own dreams, their own goals to portray these roles that they've auditioned for, that they've been chosen for, that they're really excited for, and do amazing jobs with. And this is where I start to get a little muddled on how I feel about this. I'm absolutely for diversity. I am for more representation of all ethnicities and cultures that just make this world what it is in TV shows, in movies, because it needs to be representative of what we are as a global society, as the majority of us, unfortunately not all of us, the majority of us are incredibly accepting and just accept people for who they are and don't see this diversity or needing more representation because it's just how it is. We see the diversity and we accept that for how it is, and it's not a huge issue, but it should be. It's a complicated issue. There's very little black and white. That's a pun. Probably a bad one. There's no 100% either way. It's a very muddled issue. And I understand that I don't have all the perspective needed to completely understand the issue, as I've grown up a white male my entire life. So my entire life I've had white male heroes stepping in and saving the day. So I can't really understand not having that kind of hero to represent you as a person. As much as we ask for tolerance from them in showing more diversity and showing more representation in these films and movies, we also need to show our own forms of tolerance when they make these decisions. Try to see both sides of this argument. Look at the reasons look at the reasons why they chose to do this, and at least give these things a chance, because Marvel, especially Marvel, and I've said this before and I will continue to say it, Marvel is definitely up there in the lead as working to give more representation and more individual and more diversity into their movies and their TV shows. And I think as much as we need to fight for this, we also need to understand when and where to give a little slack, to see what it is they're trying to do, what it is they're trying to show. Finally, the last and probably most important trend this week is that my birthday is on Sunday, so I will be 27. Was there anything that happened this week that you'd like to talk about? Let me know in the comments, and follow me on all the internets. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share the video so others can join in the conversation, and check out my Patreon so you can support more of my future work. Visit templeofgeek.com, your one stop for all things geek, and subscribe to my channel to geek out some more. Thanks for watching and have fun. So Captain America, Thor, Hulk.